Alright guys, well it's a new night in the shop after a long day at work, and I think we're going to get started just pulling some of this junk off for the sole reason that it's bothering me. No other reason than that. So we're going to pop that stuff off of there and see if it leads us into some other work, or if that's all we're going to get done tonight, I don't know. But long day at work, so good day to, or evening, to pick at some of this stuff and make some forward progress. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think this looks better already. None of that extraneous stuff on there. But I wanted to take a minute and show you what I was futzing with back here, because the seat was all cattywampus and just flopping around. I don't know what was going on with it, but one of these, actually it was this one, was sitting down in here. So I said, well, I got to at least pull the seat spring off to install that. Maybe it was just there wasn't enough preload on the spring, so it wasn't holding it up properly. But once I took it off, I have no idea what's going on here, because they have welded an extension onto this, and there's a hole through here, I would suspect, where the original seat pin went through. But, and this was down in here too, and you can see the wear marks on it from where it was through the seat. But the seat would be far, far, far too short if that's where it was mounted. So I don't know, this is odd. And this extension doesn't reach the pin location, so I'm not sure really whether I need to cut this off again and fabricate my own extension for it that's the proper length with the pin hole through it or something. I'm not sure, but this is interesting. Always interesting to see past repairs and stuff, and you got to wonder, what was the story behind it? What happened? Why was this a solution? Why is this the way that it is? But anyway, may crawl under it and pop the plugs out and start dumping the remainder of the engine oil and transmission fluid out. That way it can kind of sit here and drip for however long it needs to. But onward and upward. I'll keep trudging away. Could I get an associate for a cleanup on aisle 3? Associate, cleanup on aisle 3. Well, there's the total amount of water that was in the transmission of this thing. That's got to be a solid 4 gallons. So, little film of oil floating on the top, but I promise you that is 99% water. Siphoned off the water that was on the bottom of that pan that overflowed into this bucket until it started to see oil. That's it. So yeah. Not favorable. It's going to be interesting to see what the inside of that looks like when we crack that top cover off.
Extremely annoying shift later.
Well, we got our Exxon Valdez mess cleaned up, and that took quite a while. Gear oil's it's just a joy to clean up. But yeah, half a roll of paper towels later, and a good amount of Dawn dish soap and hot water, and our fancy floor is good as new again, and our paper towels that are, filthy have been disposed of properly.
How dare you!
So unfortunately I got an obligation for the evening, so I guess that's all we're going to get done for today. But hey, at least it's nice and clean in here. So we will continue this saga probably tomorrow. And just like that, it's a new day. So we're getting the shop up to temperature here. Got the wood stove going, and just kind of picking at things, deciding what I'm going to do first. So I did, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but I did drain some of the oil off the engine to see if there was water at the bottom. It didn't look like there was. There was maybe some gasoline in it. I don't know, but it was separated, so it might have been water. Penetrating oil, perhaps. There was a small, very small volume of something other than oil at the bottom. Drained that off and got oil out of it. So put the plug back in for now, and trying to decide whether to dump the oil out of it and change it right now, or leave what's in there to see if, when we get to the point, if the engine will fire, and then do an oil change. This is your oil level check cock right here. So I've got it all the way loose, and there's nothing coming out of it. So that could be one of two things. It's low on engine oil, or the check cock is plugged with, coked up oil, debris, whatever. So I'm going to pull the plug right out, and I got a little straw for aerosol can. I'm going to poke that through there and see if that's plugged, perhaps, just to be sure. So it's not plugged, and we're not getting any oil out of there. So that tells me it's definitely low on oil. So at this point, rather than dump fresh oil in on top of old nasty oil, we'll probably just go ahead and put an oil change on it and be done with it. So onward and upward. We know it has some oil in it. We're going to do an oil change, but before I waste the effort on doing an oil change, we're going to focus on the more important things. So I think right now I'm going to pull the mag apart and see if we can get spark. But perhaps we should check it for spark beforehand, and that's pretty easy. We'll just grab a hold of the spark plug lead with one hand, and we'll just turn the flywheel with... No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. Done that accidentally enough times, and let me tell you, it'll wake you up. But we're going to pull the mag apart anyway. At least I'll start with taking the cover off it and have a look at the points, condenser and whatnot, and see what kind of condition it's in. And, hey, if we can scrape the points and get spark out of it, well, that'll be a short fix. If not, then at least we'll know we got to order some parts for it. So let's get this cap off and see what it looks like in there. Well, this is not good. Probably one of the worst looking ones I've pulled the cover off of, to be honest with you. You can see actually what happened. Whoops, let me put the camera where I'm pointing. The gasket was damaged up here, and this thing has just been filling with water. And I mean, I just touched the contact for the coil, and it broke right off and is down here. Just yeah. So needless to say, we're going to be looking for a complete mag overhaul kit. Like I said, this is a really common mag, so it shouldn't be an issue finding one online. But yeah, everything in here is looking pretty hammered. So this mag is going to need quite a bit of work. As usual, a couple steps forward, another step backward, but no big deal. We'll get after it. We'll bring her back one step at a time.
Few moments later.
All right, guys. Well, no sooner did I stop that video clip, I kind of had a thought, and we may have a bigger problem here, because this is your distributor rotor in here and your contactors for your respective spark plug leads. And as you rotate the engine, that should rotate. And there is no rotation. So something is broken. But the interesting thing is that if you listen for that snap, there it is. That is the sound of the mag coming up on impulse. So the mag is spinning, or at least the impulse portion of the mag is spinning. So I don't know what exactly is going on in here, but something is broken. So I think we're gonna pull the mag off the tractor and start tearing it apart and see what the heck is going on inside here, and find out if we need to be looking for a whole nother mag, or if I need to order some rebuild parts for this one. Well, we got the mag off it, and it's soaking up with penetrating oil, so we'll let that soak for a while. And in the interim, I've been soaking up the nuts on the clutch plate so we can start taking that apart. And I've pretty much been soaking up everything really since it rolled in here. And we did make a little bit of progress. We got the throttle free. This was frozen right up solid. So we got that nice and freed up. The input into the governor freed up. So that's a plus.
Later.
Well, guys, we have been futzing with this mag and futzing with it and futzing with it. And it is just locked right up solid. This end of the shaft is frozen. I'm not sure where exactly it's frozen, whether it's in a bearing in there in the bushing where it passes through, or the armature area. I'm not really sure. The impulse seems to function, but you know, you can put a wrench on one of the drive dogs and it skids on the shaft, so I'm not sure if something's failed in there or what the situation is. So I think I will pull this apart and see if I can press the shaft right out of it in the press. I do have the option to, there's a local fella here that services and rebuilds a lot of mags, and he has a Wyco Model C mag for this tractor, which is actually the correct mag for 1941. The X is a later mag, and according to him, he thinks this was introduced in 1949. So, you know, it may be just as far ahead at this point to grab the Model C and get that serviced up and scratch this one off the list. So at least we have spark and battle the next blaze. You know, we certainly have enough problems with this thing, so we'll futz with this one a little bit more and then kind of make a decision. May go grab that Model C mag. So stay tuned. We'll go from there. Well, that's a wrap for today. We've got it pretty well completely torn apart. The steels in the coil are rust jacked in place, so having some trouble getting the coil out of there, but that's pretty much the last thing. The rotor came right out, and the lower bearing actually feels great. So the bearing surface for the oil light bearing and the rotor side cleaned right up and looks good. The oil light bearing looks great. So, you know, all in all, this could be a lot worse. This mag is totally salvageable. It's just going to need some time put into it, and obviously some new parts. But that being said, I'm pretty sure at this point that I've decided I'm going to go ahead and trade this one in towards a Model C mag. it's irking me that the Model C is technically the correct mag for this 1941 tractor. So, I think at this point it's just the right decision, and we will, like I said, pawn this one to Mr. Stoyle, and he'll be able to refurbish it and sell it, and he'll make some money off it, I'm sure, and I'll have a functional mag that's proper for this tractor, and we'll go from there. But I wanted to get this apart, just kind of assess it, make sure that he was going to be able to use it. And it's also good to see some of this stuff get taken apart so you can see how it works. This is the rotor. This has got the magnets in it. And then, in here you've got your steels to generate the field. You got your coil up here. That was the rotor, that you've seen that already. This is all the impulse portions here. This is your condenser right here, basically a low capacitor, and you got bits and pieces of the points, and the more impulse parts, the impulse spring. And basically what the impulse is when you're cranking the engine over by hand, because these tractors are hand start, you're turning the engine over slowly. And what will happen is it will wind up against the spring and it'll trip and it'll spin the mag around really quickly and generate a charge, because you can't really turn it fast enough by hand, at least not effectively, to get it to start. So it gives you a nice little hot spark as it rolls past top dead center. And then your timing will be retarded to your desirable timing for startup, and then once it's running on its own, it advances to where it should be under load. So they're really pretty slick units. They're quite clever. They work very well when they're set up properly. And now you can see all the fun guts out of a Magneto, a high tension Magneto specifically, or an impulse mag. Pretty cool. So anyway, that's it for tonight. I got to get some supper in me, so we're going to call it quits for tonight. And another day we will gather up all these bits and pieces and put them in a box and go visit Mr. Stoyle and see what he can do for us for a different mag, and see where we end up. So we'll see you then.
3 days later.
Well, we got our coil all loaded up in a tote in known condition for trade-in. And just like that, we got a Magneto. Hot spark and ready to go on the tractor, and he threw in a fuel shutoff petcock. And he said he just picked these up and he wants to try them out, so tossed it in and said, give this a whirl and give me some feedback. So it saved us a bunch of time. We supported a local business. Highly recommend. You guys should do the same. Support your local businesses. And if you need a carb or mag rebuilt, or if you need a whole carb or mag, get a hold of Stoyle's mag and carb. I will put the contact information in a slide so you guys can copy it down. So give him a call. Stand-up guy. Highly recommend. Onward and upward. I think it's about time to get that mag slapped on. So put the mag on. First thing is first, need to find top dead center on ignition stroke or compression stroke on the number 1 cylinder, which is this guy right here. And honestly, you can have all the fancy things in the world, but the easiest way to do this is pull the spark plug out and shove your finger in the hole. So we're going to pop the plug out, and I'll show you that first step, and we'll start getting this done. Alright guys, so now we got the plugs out, we're going to find the compression stroke. This is really easy to understand if you understand basic fundamentals of a 4-stroke or 4-cycle engine. You've got 4 distinct cycles. You've got your intake stroke, your compression stroke, your power stroke or ignition, and your exhaust stroke. And the only time that both valves are shut is your compression stroke, and that's what you're looking for. You're trying to come up on your compression stroke to find basically top dead center. And so that's why sticking your finger in the hole works. because you can feel the compression. So we're just going to roll this over until we start to feel it, try to push our finger out of the hole. There it is. It's very faint, which concerns me, coupled with the fact that the spark plugs have a lot of carbon and soot deposits on them, which makes me concerned that this engine is soft or weak and it may be an oil burner. So, if anything, I do seem to have a propensity to have John Deeres that burn oil. Now, let me go at this again a little bit more carefully and see if I can find it. Okay. I think we're at right there. And what you want to do is line up the LH impulse right here with a mark that's on the cover right here. So it's basically going to be horizontal, okay? And it's as simple as that. So now we're pretty confident that we've got the number 1 cylinder at top dead center of the compression stroke. It's as easy as that, nothing to it. I will throw an additional trick out there, just for sake of clarity, if anybody's trying to do this at home. If you have an engine that is arguably soft, such as this one, what you can do, you can still do the finger trick, but instead of plugging the hole entirely, leave a small gap above your finger, and as you roll the engine over, you can actually use your ears and you can kind of hear the air whistle out around your finger. So, tips and tricks, if you can't feel it, leave a gap, listen for it. You'll be able to find it. I'm going to show, for sake of clarity, use your LH impulse. And this is your timing mark right here that you're looking for. Okay? Super straightforward. Now, if we did this right, if we go over to the mag drive side of the tractor, the drive coupling on the mag should be horizontal. And it is. So we're in business. All right. So now we're going to go grab the mag and show you how to bring the mag up to the same point that the engine is at. Because we can't just slap the mag on there and consider it good. The mag has to be timed with the tractor. So what we got to do is bring the mag up to the ignition cycle for the number 1 cylinder. All right. So I have this set up this way with a clamp just so I've got my hands free so that I can show you guys what I'm doing here. If you decide to clamp it, make sure that you're gentle and be careful with the case. There's a multitude of ways to do this. You can stuff a piece of wire in the number 1 hole, which is the top hole on the cover, and you can then ground to the mag body itself, or the screw, which is grounded to the mag body. Because we have this on a steel table, the mag body is grounded to the steel table. We can stick a spark plug lead in it, which is grounded to the table, and we can actually watch the spark plug itself for a spark. So we will turn the mag over. Now, if you have question about which way to turn the mag, it is counterclockwise in this application. But if you have question, any impulse mag, your impulse dog should come out and catch on this stop right here, and you should feel pressure. So if you're turning it the other way and it's not catching on the dog, you're turning it the wrong way. So that's a quick fail-safe to make sure that you're turning the mag the right rotation, right there. So counterclockwise. So we're going to grab a wrench and we'll roll this past impulse and snap the mag until we get spark on the plug. And we're going to want to go slow because you don't want to shoot right past the point that it fires. All right. We got a standard crescent wrench here. You want to make sure you grab your standard and not your metric one because these tractors are American. And we'll start rolling the mag over and looking for that spark. There it is. Okay. Now, if you'll look, our drive dogs are horizontal, just like they are on the tractor. So now we can take this mag and bolt it right onto the tractor, and then we'll have to set our final timing. So because I live in the north, I'm a big fan of never sees, especially since we have steel bolts going into an aluminum mag. Well, one's going into an aluminum mag and one's going into the cast iron housing here, but nevertheless, I'm going to pre-treat these bolts with some never sees, get these ready to go. Okay, I've spent 10 minutes wiping my hands off to make sure that I don't end up looking like the Tin Man after we get this mag installed. And you know what, it looks like we've got a little bit of gasket debris on here, so I'm going to grab a scraper and scrape that off quick before we slap this mag on. Okay, now that we got the gasket surface somewhat prepped, don't forget your gasket. Go ahead and slide this mag into place. Alright, so take two on this. I didn't like the way that bolt was threading in, and it's just the threads had a little bit of junk in them. Unfortunately, I don't have my tap and die set here, so I just went around the threads with a dental pick and pulled some junk out, and now it seems to be going in okay. So we'll try this again. See what I mean about the Tin Man? It's inevitable with never sees. It's really good stuff, but man, if I don't wipe that off immediately, it's going to be everywhere. But now that you got the mag on, you got it finger tight, what you want to do is take the mag body and rock it all the way to the front of the adjustment as far as it'll go. And we'll leave that like that for the moment. Alright, now with the mag rocked all the way forward, the top of the mag tipped forward, I'm going to rotate the flywheel one full turn until this LH impulse mark comes back around again. Okay, there's our mark. Now we're going to come back to the mag and we're going to rotate it backwards very slowly until we hear the mag trip. That slid pretty quick, so I'm going to reset this again and do it a second time. Alright, got my timing marks lined back up again, so I'm going to try to tap this time so we don't jump it the way we did before. There it is. Now we are timed. We will go ahead and tighten the bolts up. And that's a wrap. This mag is now fully timed, installed, ready to go. Got brand new spark plug leads on there now. Look at that. Fancy. Look at that too. We like that, right? And remember, the top post is your #1 cylinder. So that's the left cylinder as you're sitting on the tractor. So if you guys are doing this at home, make sure you don't get your leads swapped. But that's going to be a wrap for this video. Sorry to leave you guys hanging again. I know that you just really want to watch me suffer attempting to start this hand start tractor that's been sitting for 30 or 40 years. That's always more fun for everybody else other than the person that's doing it. But these things take time and patience, and we're not quite there yet. We still got a bit of work to do before we're ready to try to pop this thing off. But that will be in the next video for sure. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. If you haven't, watch for part 3. It's coming. And appreciate you guys watching. Till the next time, get out there and do something cool.